Hello, and welcome to our very first podcast, Fearless Alopecia. My name is Teresa Martin, and I am your host. I am so very super excited about the premiere podcast. And today, our very first speaker um, is Eliza Dukes. Eliza is an amazing master breathologist and anxiety specialist. You can find out more information about her at thebreathingexperience.com. Today, we want to share some very important and life changing information that will help you examine where you are and where you would like to be concerning your overall well being. Welcome, Eliza.
Thank you, Teresa. It is such a joy and a pleasure to be here with you today and our wonderful, amazing audience. Stay tuned because this is going to be something you can take home and apply to your life. So,
Amen.
yes, thank you.
Amen. Amen. So Eliza, well, one of the thing I want to share with you guys concerning Eliza is that she is working with those who are living with high blood pressure, and we wanted to just take a minute to share with you and to give you some answers, some very maybe some very hard questions living with high blood pressure, how you can manage high blood pressure, and how high blood pressure can affect hair loss. And so, with that being said, Eliza, what how can someone reduce their anxiety levels that can sometimes cause high blood pressure?
Well, Teresa and audience, I say to you, it's about strategy. We have so many strategies how to get through school, how to pay a bill, how to navigate this, that, and the other, but we're not strategic enough in recognizing that we ignore our body signs. We ignore a lot of times that the foods we're eating and the lack of exercise consistently is affecting us. But the biggest one is stress and anxiety. If you don't have a strategy like breathing, deep breathing, meditation, and constant movement, we find ourselves stuck and sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
So we sit too long. And that lack of physical activity really affects our heart rate. And when your heart rate is affected, it's the dystolic and the systolic. The dystolic is the bottom number. The systolic is the top number. So when you recognize that the highest number is usually the largest number, which is the systolic, the one on top,
Mm-hmm.
that top number is where you measure the force of your heartbeat, where it exerts against the walls of your arteries each time your heart beats. But the dystolic is the bottom number, where it measures the force of the heartbeat against the wall. So it's the beat in between is what the systolic number is. And when that number's out of whack, we find ourselves on high blood pressure medication. But the only thing is that the only way to really know if you have high blood pressure is to get tested. Is to be able to take your high blood pressure or take your pressure every day and learn what the normal pressures are, and then learning once again a strategy, getting in a program that teaches you how to manage that anxiety and that stress, because we've just come out of the most stressful time of our
Mm-hmm.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us was already stressed while we were in it, so we
Mm-hmm.
had more stress added on to it, and we find ourselves still stuck trying to create a new normal, because this going forward is the new normal coming, and things will never be the same. I don't care how much we try to make it be, it's never going to be the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, absolutely. Eliza, what would you say is the leading cause for high blood pressure for diverse groups?
Hmm. Once again, anxiety and stress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, as I've been doing the research and really looking at the depth of our cardiovascular disease, it is, according to the American Heart Institute, the Heart Association, they're saying specifically about 50,000 African American women die annually from high blood pressure, which is a cardiovascular disease, a stroke, a heart attack. And the really sad thing is that only 30%, 36% of African American women know that heart disease is their greatest health risk.
Mhm.
So, part of what I want to expose today is that if you have not, once again, monitoring your blood pressure or have gotten your blood pressure tested enough to know if you're in the 20 age group to 49 age group, or just older, if you're not monitoring your blood pressure, you don't know what it is. So, to answer your question directly, the leading cause of high blood pressure among diverse groups is, once again, it's stress and anxiety.
Mhm.
It's that
Mhm.
food again. It's that lack of movement. So it says 1 in 5 African American women believe she is personally at risk. Only 1 in 5.
Mhm.
So if we have about four and a half million people, I think we have a million people, a little more than a million people in the state of Pennsylvania that are African American,
Mhm.
which makes up about 60% of women. And you're saying 1 in 5 women believe they're personally at risk, then we've got some serious work to get done.
Wow. Wow, absolutely. And I could give a testimony concerning that, having had to deal with the high blood pressure and different things not moving and just not really being mindful of the daily pressures and some of the food that I was consuming. When I connected with Eliza, she began to explain these things to me, and it has been um, a very, this has been such a useful relationship. She is my private anxiety specialist. And, just some of the things that you have shared with me, the strategies and whatnot, have been phenomenal in turning around, reversing. And I'm not dealing with high blood pressure anymore. So the next
All
question
right.
is, as a master breathologist, what are the top three benefits? What are the top three benefits as a master breathologist? If I'm asking that question right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, Teresa, and those of you who are listening, it's hard to just stay with 3. There are so many major benefits
Mm-hmm.
as mastering your breath. As a breathologist, I had no idea that I wanted to master it. All I wanted to do was get off a high blood pressure medication.
Mm-hmm.
With the breathing, the different rhythms, and the consistency in exercise, it didn't just help me to release the pressure and the stress, it gave me a new level of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And because now I'm strategizing with my body to say, come into harmony with health, come into harmony with homeostasis, get into the state where you are governing your body to the point where you know that the deep breathing, which I call the vitamin O, which is oxygen, because deep breathing produces a high level of oxygen into the blood. But the first thing it does, it lowers our blood pressure instantly. So
Absolutely.
it brings the systolic and the diastolic into harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the breath goes in, it goes in and it comes through the lungs and it goes right into the aorta. The aorta is the biggest artery we have in our heart. That aorta stretches all the way down to the top of our belly button, and then it branches off. And that
Mm-hmm.
means it carries all the oxygen into every single organ that is needed, that have the elasticity to remove the toxins, what I call the acidosis and the carbon dioxide that's sitting down at the bottom of the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing it does, it calms your mind instantly. Because you know why? When you close your eyes, you take a deep breath. What happens? You disconnect from the external and you come within. And then it raises the quality of your red blood cells. That means it raises your immunity.
Mm-hmm.
And who would ever think that the power of God's breath, He would put every single component that we would need in it if we would stop just taking our breath for granted? Stop acting like because it automatically works, that we don't need to give it some additional power
Mm-hmm.
to do its job when it's the simplest thing we can do. We don't need anything, just a willing mind to say, I'm going to discipline myself and learn how to start doing some diaphragmatic breathing to release the carbon dioxide, the acidosis, and the pressure that I put on myself each and every day, knowingly and unknowingly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, our next question was, how can deep breathing improve your overall health? But I think you just answered that question of how deep breathing
Okay.
can improve your overall health. During this segment of our podcast, I would like to take a few minutes to give Eliza an opportunity to do a live demonstration on the power of deep breathing. It will give you an opportunity to just kind of experience the power and the benefits of deep breathing. Eliza.
Yes. Thank you, Teresa. I would first like you, if you are sitting, to plant your feet firmly upon the ground. And if you can, take your shoes off, because there is an energy that comes from the earth, that comes from the floor, when you can feel your feet relax and come out of the shoes, the sneakers, the boots. And then I want you to sit completely straight up, because when you sit straight up, that means you've aligned your body to receive. That means your spinal column is in the space where your parasympathetic system can just receive the calmness that you want to put in it once we take this deep breath. And this is called the O breath. And before we do the O breath, I want to do a little test with you. And this test is to take your right hand and put over your chest, which will kind of cover your heart area. And then take your left hand and put right above your belly button. And I want you to begin to close your eyes and then take about 3 or 4 deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, exhale. Breathe in, breathe out. Now pause for just a moment. This next time that you take a deep breath, I want you just to concentrate on the coolness of the breath coming in, because you should be breathing in through your nose. And when you breathe out this time, because this is the way the O breath works, it's like a straw. Put your mouth on like the size of a straw, like you're creating this tunnel of suction. Because see, this is how deep breathing works. It's like blowing into a balloon. You breathe in, and then you exhale. So here we're going to breathe in, put your mouth in the O like a straw, and then breathe out of your mouth. This is what I want you to hear me do. I'm going to breathe in, put my mouth in the O and breathe out. And relax. That breath right there, it refocused you. It shifted your energies. It allowed you to take a moment to pause and disconnect from whatever could have been frustrating you or causing you to feel some type of way, as we say. And it gave you an opportunity to recollect yourself and bring your spirit, your mind, and your body into oneness, into harmony. That's how simple a deep breath is. You know, I teach rhythms and I teach different types of rhythms because there's an O breath, there's a different kind of breath and a different kind of breath. And I teach an advanced class on breathing because once you master the first component, you're excited to master the other part because you begin to experience the benefits of using the power of your God-given healing breath. So I hope that kind of helped you to process through why, you can stop for a moment and use the vitamin O and put it in your body so that you can have more of the functionality that brings the healing and the peace and the calmness and raising the quality of your red blood cells and calming your mind and bringing your blood pressure down in just about an instant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Eliza, so for a very powerful breathing demonstration.
You're
So,
welcome.
how long can you trace deep breathing as a practice?
Well, It has been signified that it's been over 2,000 years. Of course, we know it has to be much longer than that because when God breathed the breath of life, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but when He breathed the breath of life into us, He breathed the spirit, He breathed the life, He breathed the completeness of what we would need in that breath. So, and it is an advanced system that they call now because um, after doing the research, you find it's called the paranama, and that which means the control of your breath. And so when you equate a lot of deep breathing practices, and if you just Google it, you'll see that those from the mid eastern part of the country have coined it as a yoga practice, have coined it part of a spiritual practice that is done in other countries. Because when I began to get my training as a breathologist, a master breathologist, I didn't get it from the United States because there were no courses available at the time that I'd started. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely.
I had to go over to the UK,
Mm-hmm.
over into India, because those were the places that were living it, that were proof that it works, that it is spiritual nourishment. So
Wow.
that alone began to show me the source of what God had placed into us, that, breathing is a vitamin, it's a nutrient.
Absolutely.
If we don't have it, we're
Absolutely.
not alive, right? If it's
Absolutely.
tampered with, what happens if a person has a stroke? It's because of lack of oxygen. Same thing
Mm-hmm.
with um, a heart attack. One of the things they say to first do if you feel like you're having some chest pains is begin to cough. That cough breaks up and brings in the oxygen just from a distinctive cough. Just taking your time, that literally shifts
Mm-hmm.
whatever is clogged in the artery and opens up the airways so you can at least have time to get to the hospital.
Absolutely. All right. So that just answered our questions, you guys. Is our next question, is breathing spiritual? And the answer is absolutely. Absolutely spiritual.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love this question because if you go into Genesis 2 and 7, it says, Then the Lord God formed, He created the body of man from the dust of the ground. But He said He did this one thing. He breathed Himself, His breath into our nostrils, that very breath of life. And then we became a living, breathing being, already whole.
Mm-hmm.
And this completed our spirit and our body as one. So if you're not doing any deep breathing, your body's out of whack with your
Mm-hmm.
spirit. I mean, He says it right here. He makes it
Absolutely.
so clear that it is so spiritual because it's His breath. Think about a baby. Every time a baby is born, the first thing the doctor does, and I don't think they do this anymore, but they used to smack a baby on the behind to make sure that they could cough up whatever they need to cough up and that their airways were clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when ever watch a baby, if anybody here has a young baby, a grandchild, if you ever watch that baby doing breathing right now, that baby breathes normally.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to move the diaphragm when they're breathing because they don't have the stress, the anxiety, and the pressures or the concerns of life.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as stress, anxiety, or trauma hits a child, it immediately shifts the way they breathe. And this is what has happened to us all.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our breathing is off because we've experienced so much trauma and drama and stress and anxiety. I mean, the post-slave syndrome, enough. It's in our DNA to be
Mm-hmm.
stressed.
Mm-hmm.
We have to strategize. We have to come to a place now. We're willing to make these shifts, make these changes, and pivot over into the mindset that I can be well, that healing is my God given right. But what does it take for me to believe it? It takes nurturing yourself, it takes taking time with yourself on a daily basis throughout the day to pour back into yourself because we're constantly giving out and giving out and giving out and giving out, but we're not constantly releasing what we're taking in and taking in and taking in and taking in.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. You know, and I can just relate to that so much. I found myself in the past in situations before I learned breathing strategies where I would be in a highly stressful situation,
Excuse me.
feeling anxiety over maybe a decision I needed to make, an atmosphere I didn't want to be in, or so forth. And I would literally hold my breath
Mm-hmm.
without
Mm-hmm.
realizing it, and it's just like, and then I get out of the situation. It's like, why am I breathing so hard? And then I realized that it's because I literally held my breath during a very uh, time full of anxiety, experiencing something that I didn't particularly want to experience. So let us be mindful of that. Eliza, how can high blood pressure affect hair loss?
Oh, that's a great, great question. Because um, we don't believe a lot of times, once again, the power of high blood pressure too,
Mhm,
is that when your pressure is high, that means your organs are out of whack. Once again, if you look at your aorta valve and the way it extends all the way down to the top of your belly button, on the same side of the aorta valve is your pancreas.
mhm,
That's why diabetes is the second disease that comes from heart disease, because that's the
mhm,
first organ that gets weakened. On the other side is our kidney. And if our body isn't filtering through the things that, like the toxins, then we find ourselves with kidney disease, which is on a rise as well. So, to answer your question directly,
mhm,
blood pressure is one of the highest issues. And so, when it comes to hair loss, it's such a huge thing because hair loss is just not equated to stress and anxiety, but it's equated to the fact that we have poor hair care routines.
mhm,
So I can't say it's just the high blood pressure. It starts it because if the high blood pressure is literally breaking down the organs, it's breaking down the hair follicles.
mhm,
And
mhm,
if you're not taking care of your hair, or you don't have a good routine and good products. You see, all that over counter stuff that we used to use growing up, it was pretty healthy back then. But now everything is about the money.
mhm,
It's like they can say they have ingredients in there. You can't really prove they have ingredients in there.
mhm,
I find myself specifically now buying from small businesses because I know that they are credible.
mhm,
I've done the research. So hair loss is really affected with high blood pressure because they don't want to link it, but it is linked because once again, when your organs are broke down and you have these common problems that you don't take serious when it comes to high blood pressure, then your hair is suffering. I mean, a lot of times I have to say it's suffering too because you have the high blood pressure. You have these wigs that have these chemicals in them.
mhm, mhm.
You don't have a routine, and you're not putting any additional oxygen into your blood to help with the healing process of everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Eliza, what makes your practice so unique? And when is your next class?
Well, what I believe is that it comes from knowing that when I began this journey in 2012 on high blood pressure medication, I didn't know it was going to turn out to be a business.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I wanted to share what deep breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, the parama breath, um, the Brahma parama breath um, did for me. And so, what I think makes it so unique is that I provide several classes that teach you how to master your breath. I teach a 4-step meditation that allows you to deal with your anxiety and your stress, to know what it is, know when it shows up, how to handle it, and how to eradicate it, how to bring healing into the body where the things that we deal with on a normal basis no longer have the same impact or effect on our mind and our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach you how to bring a wholeness into yourself and learning that it's a spiritual practice. So I believe what sets me aside is that I deal with the whole person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just talk about deep breathing and meditation. I deal with the whole movement. So when you leave me, you have a full packet that you can implement into your life with the ease of doing, because you really don't need any weights. You
Mm-hmm.
don't even need an app. You simply need a strategy. You need a plan that you're willing to follow and implement into your life and to your daily activities of life that bring you the health, the wellness, and the happiness. Because when you're healthy and well, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
When you're focused and you're accomplishing much more, you're generating more finances. Your witty ideas and inventions are soaring. Your creativity has its freedom to produce what God has called you to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows you to just literally take your whole life to the next level and dimensions. Because once you have a mindset to walk in your healing, there's nothing else that can stop you. It's
Right.
like when God says, I go before you and make the crooked places straight. And he says also that nothing can stand against you, because the only thing really standing against us is ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
not stepping out,
Mm-hmm.
investing into ourselves on a consistent basis. Because see, it's not a one-time investment that you do when you invest into your overall well-being. It's a constant investment. Being around people who are of like-mindedness,
Mm-hmm.
being in groups of people that are accomplishing some of the things you want to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So I bring a membership where women get connected. So you know that you are not in this by yourself, that we are a collective body of people who are encouraging, cheerleading, sharing, and motivating and inspiring one another to stay inspired, to accomplish once again and achieve all that God has called us to do, be, and have.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys, I have been knowing Eliza for about 7 years, and she is a trusted professional. I have regained my health following the strategies that she has given concerning deep breathing. And what a surprise. I mean, like what she was saying earlier, who would have known that breathing would serve as pretty much the core to health and wellness. And so I am so grateful to have had you today on our very first podcast episode, and I'm looking forward to you coming back again at a later time to share with us some of the things that would benefit us. Eliza, give our audience some information on how to reach you and how to maybe sign up for an upcoming class and how to connect with you through social media.
Okay, awesome. Well, I have to just back up just a minute, Teresa, and say I didn't answer one of your questions.
Okay.
And that is when is my next class? I teach deep breathing every second Saturday
Hmm.
of the month. You can go to my website, which is in the process of being redone, but nonetheless, you can still sign up um, by going to the Breathology page, and it's thebreathingexperience.com. And if you say that you connected with me from this particular podcast with Teresa Martin, Fearless Alopecia, you will get a discounted version of the class. The class initially for the beginners class lasts about 30 days. Then we take you to an advanced class, which takes about 90 days. Because once again, you master this, you can teach your children, your spouse, those in your inner circle. And I can tell you this, most people stay in the whole program for about 1 to 2 years. So
Hmm.
it's up to you how you healing, how fast you want to heal, how consistently you want to keep your mind open to what God is doing and
Hmm.
bringing through us as the practitioners in our specific fields.
Hmm.
Also, to get contact with me, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok as The Breathing Experience. And, you can connect also to my mailing list and get a newsletter once a month. I don't over inundate, don't sell your information, because I believe this: when we get together and get serious about our health and our overall well-being, we will take the active action steps to make it our top priority to heal and be well. And when you take action from what you hear now and you go and click on my website, you go and click on Teresa's website and take action, that means you're really serious about your wellness. And this is the thing, time doesn't wait for anybody. High blood pressure is a serious disease. It is killing us faster than any other disease. It is our biggest and greatest health risk. And it's not going to change. Because this is the thing too, it has no age anymore. You used to know that if you were older, because you know you've carried those years of stress, that you're more likely to have a stroke or a heart attack. The kids at 20 years old now are having heart attacks, are overweight, are overstressed, and don't have any outlets or a program like the Breathing Experience Institute to come to. Come and visit. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, you can give me a text or a call and schedule a time at 302 1884. And that's only for those of you who are ready to take action, because this program will require you to do some serious investment if you're serious about your life. So, and I know that you are. I know that you're listening to this podcast because either you have hair loss, you're frustrated, your confidence is low, you're carrying some level of sickness and disease, and you ask for the answers. You ask God for solutions, and your solutions are right here. So take action and let us come together as family and begin to heal and renew and restore and replenish all that God has promised for you. So I am Eliza Dukes. I thank you once again, Teresa, for this most precious time. Because one thing we can't get back is time. Time is precious and it's of great value. And this is something that you can never exchange money for real, for real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So thank you and God bless you abundantly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you for joining us today and giving us the information that we need to shift our thinking, to shift our life, to give us the strategies that we need and information to move forward. Thank you again for connecting and joining with us. Eliza's information is going to be posted below in the comment section of the podcast. And so you can go there and get it after you listen. And I'm so super excited about what our future podcast has to offer you. And thank you again, Eliza Dukes, master breathologist and anxiety specialist at the breathingexperience.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
You're welcome and thank you.